Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is the biggest scandal yet, and nobody's actually talking about it. They're telling us it's going to be good for health, but apparently science is telling us something different. Safe and effective, they say. I think I heard it somewhere before. Anyway, this is, I think, is absolutely horrendous. You got to hear me to the end with some statistics, and you understand why I think it's such a big hoo-ha. Anyway, there's a new legislation, okay, the government bringing in. So by December 2026, the UK will require all non-wholemeal wheat flour, okay, which means basically all standard white and brown flour, and the products like the breads, cakes, pastries, and processed foods to be fortified with a synthetic folic acid. And this is synthetic, this is not natural folic acid. So this is going to be applicable to the supermarket flour, mass-produced bread, and the most bakery products. So mass-produced bread, this is pretty much every single loaf that you buy in a supermarket is mass-produced. Although I can't really call it bread because it's really not, but it is. They call it bread, so it's bread. So basically, only the wholemeal flour and other grains like a rye or spelt, and the very small artisan mills are producing under 500 tons per year are exempt. So basically, that's pretty much the majority of the flours and the breads and the bakery goods in UK will have a folic acid, synthetic folic acid in them, whether you want it or not. Anyway, so this is all done. So the government's saying this is aims to reduce the neural tube defects in babies, predicting around 20% of the reduction on their modelling. So not 80%, because apparently this is mandate only covers sunflower and not all grain products. Well, not being funny, but we are talking about pretty much all the baked goods. I think they'll be probably talking about, should be talking about 80%, but not. But nonetheless, guys, we are going to be talking about the statistics later on. So the neural tube defects in babies is basically happens at the very early stages of pregnancy when there's not enough folic acid, if the mom doesn't consume enough, and it basically leads to birth defects like spina bifida. Anyway, so we're moving on. So we're talking about the two types of the folic acid. Like I said, we've got the synthetic one and we've got the natural one. So the natural folate, it comes from the greens, beans, and the whole foods. So it exists in the food naturally already. It's already in a form of your body can use, and it converts quickly and efficiently. Like we imagine with anything that's natural that you consume, your body's ready for it, and it gets basically converted in what's needed really quickly without any issues. And now we're talking about the synthetic folate acid. So obviously it's a man-made product. It's not found in nature. It's chemically totally different. Okay, it's absorbed and processed differently, as you could imagine, and it requires slow processing in the liver to become usable. So basically, they are, rather than encouraging people or pregnant women to take supplements or in fact eat a healthier diet, they want to make sure that everybody in the United Kingdom has this fake supplement added onto their diet. This is absolutely horrendous. In fact, I think it's a joke. It might as well be a joke because it's absolutely ridiculous. So basically, they are adding on a fake supplement to our breads that our body cannot use properly. But there are problems, right? Apparently, many people cannot process synthetic folic acid properly. A significant portion of the population, and we're talking about the millions of people, and sometimes people are aware of that and sometimes are not, actually not able to process that properly. So apparently that reduces their ability to convert folic acid, causes folic acid to stay unprocessed longer, and increases the chances of buildup in the blood. So some people can't absorb synthetic one at all. So that means it's going to be circulating in their body all the time and building up over the time. So what leads us to is to unmetabolized folic acid, which is also called UMFA, which is the hidden problem that, well, everybody is aware about, the government's aware about, and so is the scientists. But the concern, right? So when the liver can't keep up with the converting synthetic folic acid, the excess becomes unmetabolized, or also known as the UMFA. So research has shown that it can circulate in the bloodstream, interfere with the body's own folate pathways, potentially alter immune functions, mask deficiency, and accumulate over time. Okay, so this is all the concerns the scientists are obviously told government, and yet they're still going ahead and doing this. Again, just think about it for a second. You're told, like, this is not good for a lot of people, and yet they're just going to put this everywhere anyway. It's mind-blowing. Anyway, let's talk about the masking the vitamin B12 deficiency, which is, again, a government's fully aware of that. They're fully aware of this because they're being told. So apparently, the high synthetic folic acid intake can hide the early warnings of the B12 deficiency. So it's dangerous for many groups, including the older adults, vegans and vegetarians, people with digestive issues, and people on certain medications. So apparently the masked B12 deficiency can lead to irreversible nerve damage and neurological problems. And this is a well-established fact. This is absolutely horrendous. So apparently there's a lot of debates going on with the scientists, all well and good debating this, but the whole thing is happening. But they're talking that it could also accelerate growth of specific pre-existing condition, disrupt natural immune processes, worsen outcome for people who can't methylate properly, and create imbalance in folate and B12 pathways. Basically, a horrendous amount of issues for a lot of different people. So for the sake of a small group, again, I say this again, to encourage them to consume a healthier diet whilst they're pregnant or trying to get pregnant, they're trying to put this and put a lot of population at risk. So anyway, let's have a look now at these statistics. And this is why you understand why how horrendous this is. Okay, so they talked about the 20%, trying to reduce the 20% by 20% the neural tube defects. Okay, so anyway, there are approximately 70 million people in the United Kingdom. Okay, 99.8% of them do buy bread on a regular basis, or some sort of a bread product from the supermarket or wherever else. In 2024, there was approximately 600,000 births. Okay, the study shows that approximately 12 in 10,000 are born with that defect. Okay, so according to calculations, that makes it approximately 720 cases per year, which is high enough, but we're talking about still small proportion of other people are people that are affected. So that 20% will equate to 144 cases. So they're going to be reducing that by 144 cases. And now we're talking at the vitamin 12 deficiency, right? So again, rather horrendous. So apparently some people know it, some people don't. This is the big issue. 6% for under 60s suffer with that, and 20% for over 60s that can suffer with that. And study in 2024 shows that 30 to 50% of people with the B12 deficiency showed neurological problems. Okay, so you can see, right, that statistically, out of so many people and so many people that could be affected, we're not even talking about people on certain medications, people with different digestive issues, vegans, vegetarians. We're not talking about that. We're just vaguely touched on a large proportion of people, okay, they just have a vitamin B12 deficiency. So if we're going to be starting, or if they are going to be starting eating their bread and masking that problem, that will lead to neurological issues. Like, it is absolutely horrendous. So now if you potentially take into account all the other groups of people that could be on a potential risk, then that percentage of 20% they're trying to save, it's a very small percentage compared to how many other people could potentially really get hurt. And I don't understand, okay? The scientists are telling them that this is not good, okay? They're brushing everybody with the same thing. Yes, a small group of people like pregnant moms, pregnant women require extra folic acid in a lot of cases, then they can take supplements or they can change their diet. I don't understand why they need to put so many people at risk of having other issues and similar neurological issues by imposing that fake folic acid in our foods. And what the main problem as well, why, you could ask many questions. Why is this only applicable to that kind of flour? Why not add it onto the whole wheat flour? Why not add it onto other flours? Why not include the small meals into that? Because really, what's going to happen if people really want to avoid eating that, they'll be trying to find those meals that do make the flours they don't have to fortify that with. But chances are they go out of stock pretty quickly. So a lot of people that do consume bread will be still either not eating bread or consuming that anyway. And this is the thing, is because there's not been a lot of like long time research, right? Obviously there's been research going on about it, and they've been clearly said that, look, this is what the effect can cause. If suddenly people with a different medical conditions or something else will be consuming that on a regular basis, that could have a huge effect on those people. And I understand, obviously, saving lives, saving babies, and that disease is not really nice. But neither would be certain things that can happen to people if they start consuming that without even probably even understanding that. Because thing is, to me, is transparency is the key. Okay, where have we been told, or where have we been asked as a population, do you know, we're thinking of adding on a fake vitamin that your body can't even digest into your bread and other bread goods? Do you think it's a good idea? No, I bloody don't. I don't want it in a food, but they're just putting it there anyway because they think it's a good idea to help a cause, right? So to me, it's beyond understanding. When you just comprehend the statistics of people, okay, 70 million of people, 99.8 of them consume bread or bread product on a regular basis. And I don't know the percentage, how many people will be affected by that, but I can assure you it's going to be more than 20% of population. And this is what makes it absolutely horrendous. So anyway, guys, of course, again, it's really whingy. You can see how frustrating that whole thing is, because there's no way really out from that, apart from buying your own grain and milling your own flour to make your own bread. But anyway, of course, your comments are welcome down below. Just let us know what you think. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thumbs up, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye.